Okay. Sorry for making everybody wait there a little bit. Ron's getting out of work this morning. And I apologize for my attire, but again, work.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Committee to order. We have a quorum. So let's move to item number 1, approval of minutes from March 28th public hearing, April 14th planning meeting, and April 14th planning and zoning deliberative. Accept a motion.
I would request to amend it.
Okay.
Make
the motion first.
I make a motion.
Which, yeah, and which would for the April 14th meeting?
April 14th, yeah.
Planning meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
planning meeting. So the line item that it says motion to not send the proposed amendment to a planning and zoning committee's public hearing by S. Estera, seconded by T. Egan, motion, and then I'd like added verbiage to say motion carried 5-0. That was not in there.
Oh, well, that definitely should be in there.
I'm gonna make the motion to approve these and we can discuss.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes of March 28th public hearing, April 14th planning meeting, and April 14th planning and zoning deliberative.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now,
All right, so on the minutes that I pulled off online, because we didn't receive them in our packets, the motion to not send the proposed amendment to a planning and zoning committee's public hearing by myself and then seconded by Supervisor Egan, that's all that it says, and it does not say what the vote was. And so I would like added verbiage to make an amendment to add motion carried 5-0.
okay,
And then I would also, can I add another one?
go ahead.
So the other one, I would like to request to amend the minutes to include my secretary notes and to the existing minutes. And I do have a copy of all of that if you'd like to see it.
We good with putting those in?
It's up to you.
It was, yeah, I mean, we all viewed them, right?
And
It was part of what we were using to make the decision, so I see no problem in putting those in as well.
Yeah, I mean, these are ones I just created based on my notes.
Mhm.
So I did,
All those,
yeah,
can I see them?
yes.
The big thing here to me is that the planning meeting minutes weren't in there.
Right, not at all.
Not at all. She got hers off the website. So that was an important meeting. It should have been in our packet.
yes. Agreed.
I'd like to.
Because I would want approval from
Yes.
what would be added to the,
Give us a minute.
Oh, so you want this input put in there? I'm guessing.
yeah, that's my request.
Do we want them read into the minutes this time?
I think so.
And again,
Yeah.
I could be
think so.
wrong on things as well, so and it's not exhaustive. I didn't take notes on everything, so.
Is everybody, once everybody's finished with them, we'll make sure everybody's okay with that.
Do we want to read these?
That's what I'm asking. Mr. Chairman, you want these read into the minutes or just giving a copy to the staff?
Well, I can read them in. That way we
The
have.
secretary can read them in, so.
Good.
Whatever you want. I'd like
Whichever.
to write in.
Okay, all righty.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, what do you want me to read? The whole from top to bottom or? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Planning and Zoning Committee Planning Meeting, County Administration Building, 3rd floor conference room, April 14th, 7:45 a.m. Meeting held in person and via Zoom. Present Supervisors Hintz, Chairman, Gabbert, Vice Chair, Zestera, Secretary, Supervisors Miller, or I did not put supervisor, so Miller and Egan, O'Rourke, Land Use Planner, Lefebvre, Code Enforcement Officer. Rowe, Zoning Administrator, and Bougie. Other guests, Brian Defferding, Dennis Redloff, Jessica Bradley, William or Bill Benson, two from the city of Oshkosh. Sorry, I didn't know your name. Michelle Hayes, Wisconsin DNR. Input from those present. Defferding, quote, time to reject floodplain map amendment, unquote. The city and county take drainage and erosion seriously. Historically, FSDs have been only within floodplains. If FSDs are outside of a floodplain, it sets a dangerous precedent. It's not just scientific, it can be political. A floodplain map amendment would set a precedent, using NFIP as a method of control. Better to talk with farmers and ask them the best practices versus the top-down approach. The rest, that FEMA, Arrow City, Arrow County, Arrow DNR, I don't know if that was my take on that, so we could cross that out.
Actually, it fits what was said because it's a greater than sign. So FEMA is greater than the city is greater than the county is greater than the DNR.
Yes, okay.
That would fit what they're talking about.
All right.
As far as the top-down approach.
Okay. Radloff, colon, just ain't right, quote unquote, shouldn't be able to take it and devalue the land. Hence, get all people involved. Bradley, have we taken a field trip to look at the theoretical plan versus what's actually there? Benson, the city had the state postpone the culverts. In 2003, the maps were created and never updated. City rep, the maps were updated in 2018, 2019. Gabbert, insights and observations of the Sawyer Creek discussion at the airport. Miller, lowering summertime elevations of the lake. Zestera, requested landowner petition be shared with committee.
There you go. I have no problem with these going in. Does anybody see any problems with what we actually experienced? I'd want to hear it now.
My reference was for the public hearing that was at the airport. That was what my reference was.
Okay, so I could clarify the public
Yep.
hearing. Okay, I'll do that. At the airport public hearing.
You did not have the April 14th planning meeting minutes in your packet. You did, did you?
No.
Okay,
Okay, so those two changes.
yes.
Okay, I see no problem with those.
Keep this.
Oh, we need to take out on that. Oh, I guess so you made the
I made the motion.
Motion and
You
then
seconded.
you second.
Yeah, do we have to vote on adding the amendment?
Yeah.
I'll change my motion to approve the three minutes with changes or additions to the April 14th planning meeting as presented by Secretary Zestera, a correction for the vote and the list of what the minutes are. That suffices for everybody.
And
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Seeing any, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public forum.
Yeah, it's up to your discretion, Mr. Chairman, that's
Mhm.
for anybody that's present that,
Let's hear for any of the items.
yes.
Did you want
If it's related, if this is the time to speak to one of the items, yes, I would like to speak then.
Okay.
Morning, committee. I'm here to represent the city.
to, Steve, go ahead.
Steve Godey with the City of Oshkosh Public Works, Assistant Director of Public Works and Utilities General Manager. Regarding item number 4 on your agenda, review and action on withdrawal of Sawyer Creek floodplain map amendment. The city strongly opposes this motion. The letter that was provided to you, attorney, outlines some of the significant consequences of the proposed action. The city requests you lay this item over to your next meeting to consider the letter from our attorney or vote this item down completely. The city requests the committee forward the original application to the full county board. Our attorney, Mr. Jonathan Smize, with Godfrey and Khan, is not able to be here this morning, but he is available on Zoom if anyone has any questions for him. Thank you.
My name is Jason Adias. I'm here on behalf of, I'm not sure what number it is, but I'm the owner of Spare Space Self Storage. It's on for review of, I think, an amendment to the conditional use, which I have at my storage facility. It's out on 1564 Leonard Point Road. I guess just a point of clarification on what we're looking at. There's a lot of details that go into designing a facility that actually looks probably relatively simple. When we went to design and get the first phase going to the extreme south, there was about 90 feet left that was basically just going to be grass. And I missed it on the initial design with my civil planners. So what we decided to propose, what I'd like to do is take that 90 foot and just add another half-sided building, which is really what it is. So it would be a 7th building, but it's just going to be only entry from the north, a half-sided building, just to encompass that 90 feet. So I don't have to mow it. And quite honestly, I'm going to put a bunch of 10 by 30s. So the building is 250 feet long, 30 feet wide, and a pretty high demand size unit. This would be the last phase 4 of my facility on Leonard Road. So I'm just came about it. Answer any questions if that comes up.
Anybody have any questions of either person?
We're supposed to ask our question now or to you, and then you'll turn around and answer the question.
I would wait till the agenda item.
Okay.
They made your comments.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Does everybody need some time to review the?
Yeah, more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This would be an exciting time for those watching at home. I'd rather we absorb it.
Do you want to do the conditional use and then?
Yeah.
Because I want to read this before we get there, but I don't know how you want to get it.
No, actually, that's a good point because we'll need to delay.
And maybe that gentleman doesn't.
Yeah, then we don't have to delay his while we're reading. Okay, what item number 3, review and action on a minor change to an existing conditional use permit 17-CU-4150.
Okay, I'll handle that one. 2017, we had issued a conditional use permit for the storage facilities, as Mr. Adias had indicated. Per the terms of our ordinance, the committee can look at a proposed amendment and decide if it's a minor alteration or a major alteration, which might necessitate a public hearing. So that's the reason it's been brought to you here for today. Staff feels this is kind of a minor alteration from the standpoint that he had one large building and basically is breaking it down to 2 smaller buildings, as he indicated, a half-sided or whatever he had indicated. And that's down in the south in those diagrams you have. Here was the original large building, and then it's broken up into these 2. Everything applies with the stormwater plans. So it's at the committee's discretion to decide if this warrants taking it to public hearing or not. Our office has not received any complaints on this facility since it's been constructed at all.
Thanks. A question. So any feedback on the township on this? I studied the papers, but
We didn't have any feedback from the town.
and they are aware.
I guess I'll let Mr. Ideas address.
Yeah, good question. Numerous months ago, I did go to the I've lost track now. I think it was town board and brought it to their attention, and they approved it, no issues. So it's their way.
And to reiterate your statement, you haven't had any complaints on this facility?
No.
From either citizens or town or planning commission?
Not that we're aware of, right?
Okay.
Is there a lot of neighbors around there?
There's a whole subdivision to the
Right.
east of it.
That's what I thought.
And when there was a little bit of noise when that original hearing came up, and as it turns out, a lot of those residences are actually renting out the units.
Right.
Yeah.
So the traffic, is that going to amount going into residential areas or more traffic or not? Just that for them few.
Generally speaking, these are considered passive uses where there is not any kind of traffic. And Mr. Diaz had provided facts at the original public hearing about the traffic and stuff, because that was brought up by the residences at the time. And Mr. Ideas can get in more detail if the committee has questions.
Site's been kept clean, landscape, everything's
It's
tip top, right?
picture perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar, but if you drive down Leonard Road, it's on the east side, and it's everything he had promised to be. It's very, yeah, aesthetically, the landscaping, everything, yeah.
So do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to accept a minor change to an existing conditional use permit 17-CU 4150.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
My further discussion would be, the reason I made this motion is because Carrie explained it so well that it's a minor and we shouldn't have to go through a public hearing.
Right.
So that's why I made my motion.
Anyone else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay, now we will take some time to read our letter.
Chairman, I don't know if we can take enough time to even
Yeah,
go through this.
well,
At a
I was gonna ask before we go through this, did anybody from staff, does anybody from staff have any comments on what's enclosed in here and
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment. Again, we received this last evening or by the clock. And given the nature of it, I might suggest to the committee, and again, it's entirely up to you as a committee, but it might suggest that you would refer this to Corporation Council for further guidance on this correspondence. That would just be my suggestion. Again, it's entirely up to you as a committee as to what direction you want to go. One option is you can just table the decision today for the June meeting and have some response. Some discussion with Corporation Council. In the meantime, entirely up to you again, but that would be my suggestion.
And I would make that motion, Mr. Chairman, that we do go ahead and wait till our June meeting and have Corporation Council look at this, because I know she's out of town these last 2 days, so I doubt if she's even seen it. So
yeah, and I think we all want her input on this.
I think it's very poor taste in the city, and I'll say it right out that they did this the last minute when they knew they didn't want to say anything at the last meeting, but they could get this in the last minute for this meeting. So and Mr. Roloff was on Channel 5 last Sunday saying they're going to take baby steps, because one of the questions is what is all the water you're doing with all the water things. So there's been a lot of things that's been brought out. I just feel as though this is very poor taste. They can say that us not working with them, I think they could have done something before this and at least got it to staff, and they could have got it out to us beforehand. And that's probably their attorney on, and I really don't care because that's my feelings on it. May 4th, when we get something, we got a meeting on May 5th. And we're supposed to make a decision that we somewhat already decided. It's been announced to the county board. That's my feelings. I think we should wait until the June meeting at least and get corporation counsel in on it.
I have a second for the motion.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion?
I did not receive this at all. Okay,
We got it today.
They got it last night. We got it today. That's.
so that's upsetting.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna piggyback on Supervisor Egan. This is in poor taste by the city. Everybody at that April 14th meeting knew we were gonna have a meeting on the 5th. To get this out at 5:03 p.m. to certain people. And then expect us to come and read this letter and absorb it. Before we make a decision one way or another is in very poor taste. Now we have no choice, I see, other than have Mary Ann review this. But just reading quickly through this, a lot of things mentioned in here were discussed way back when this whole thing started. So of course, the city gains by us postponing this another month. And if it was a tactic, it worked. So I am upset with the city of Oshkosh for doing something like this.
Yeah.
But again, we have no choice. Now,
Yeah, like to
Go
speak,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Very disappointed. I'd like to just put some things into the record that I would like to talk with the Corp Council about, and just for transparency. Let you know, attorney and city. Some things that are a very big concern from the county's from my perspective as a representative of my constituents. Did our planning and zoning department have the right to file that application for the zoning and map amendment? It presented as a co-sponsored application, but it wasn't from a board member. It was not from a committee member, and it wasn't from a committee. Did our administrator have that legal authority to send the letter that indicated the county's intent to adopt the maps and amend the code? I thought people needed to be appointed to do some of those things to represent us. We're part of those decision-making processes. And are you appointed, Mr. Bougie?
Appointed
Appointed,
as far as what?
that you've been appointed in this position.
Well, yeah, I mean. I was hired.
Yeah.
Okay, you were hired, but not appointed.
No.
Okay.
I mean, right.
So to represent
Right.
with that, there has not been, nor will there be. I'm not going to say that, but I have not seen transparency. I have not seen transparency throughout. And we have had to dig for information. We have had to research it and dig for it. I was out on the Basin proposed site. Is that Highway 20 and Clairville? I was driving by that. Is that where that site will be, the Basin?
The next city detention basin out in Sawyer Creek, southwest of that intersection, yes.
So I happened to be tooling around, and there was a big group of people, including the engineer, Mr. Matt. And I just happened to be driving by. They're looking at that. So there's erosion and water is a concern, but when it came to this, there were some pretty serious missteps. The committee was not offered the 2 townships resolutions and the landowners notarized petitions. The department's reason they didn't share it is because they would do that in case this goes to the board. Well, we should have had that immediately. I want to know that information. I like facts. This was not that decision was not the wish of the landowners or the townships. They would have wanted us to know that information right away. They needed and wanted those expeditiously shared with the committee. 6 towns sent in resolutions opposing this. 2 townships supported this, if I'm not mistaken. In spring of 2022, Nakai Amro passed resolutions through by law state statute 59.692, and this has a legal impact on how the committee can vote. I just feel like we need better checks and balances. I'm very concerned, and this is stressful. These are my, we all are representing people that are not sleeping well at night because of it. And I know you can't base decisions on someone's personal needs, but I am aggravated that it's just going to continue. However, I think it's very prudent to have Corp Counsel take a look at it. Thank you.
Did I see your hand up? No, you're going. I would just ask, petition, would you say petition of town and 2 towns and a group? I'm trying to.
Merwin Nakayama, I believe.
6 towns sent in resolutions opposing this, and 2 townships supported this.
Okay, I thought you said something about a petition in there too.
Yes, there was the landowners petition. The committee was not offered the 2 townships resolutions and the landowners notarized petitions. Those were the two things, because it.
Do we have, do we have those petitions?
Yeah, I had indicated that at the last meeting, we had received one. And that would require a 3/4 vote. Should it go to the county board. And that is submitted to me, and I review it to see if it's a valid petition. Or when it goes to county board, just to indicate what the vote would have to be. So I had that in my possession. The clerk gave it to me because it was delivered to the clerk's office. So I had that in the file for when this moved forward.
Can we get copies of those?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think it would be for everybody on the committee to get a copy of those.
Just so you're aware, what it is the petition has to have at least 50% of the landowners petition around the area that is being rezoned. And if there are 50% of the landowners, it would require a 3/4 vote. This petition is not a valid one because we don't have 50% of the landowners. The petition I received has 50% of the landowners around the detention ponds only. The zoning map amendment is the entire Sawyer Creek floodplain. So we would need 50% of all the owners going all the way up to the city boundary. But I will provide that to you.
Okay.
But I think there was 2 townships that wrote one resolution out. I think it was the town of Armo and town of Nakaima. I know town of Armo for sure is someone. The town board sent one out.
Is that after? Was that
was
after?
a while ago.
Right, but I think that's the 2 that she's talking about also.
Yeah,
I'm sure it
that
was.
information was disseminated to the committee and
Right.
as part of the application previous. I mean, so that's all there. You know, again.
But we had a
you know,
different committee,
Yeah, this matter's been going on for
3-4 years.
yeah,
forever.
more than 5. Yes. So if you would like that information, Carrie's got it in the file.
You'll make sure you go home with it today.
Yeah.
And that's just that petition for the 3/4 vote.
Is that everything, Sean?
Yeah, I do have the resolution that I withdrew. And I was looking at the history of it to see if those, but yeah, it is all there.
Yeah.
I can find it, but I won't put it up right now.
Howard, do you have anything?
No.
I think a lot's been said, and I think we have a motion to table this until June and have corporate counsel check out this letter that we got at the last second and let us know where we stand with that.
Do we have a date of our June planning meeting? I'd like to put that date if we're going to postpone.
I think it'd be June 9th.
What?
Can't be sick that day.
June 9th.
I ain't gonna be sick. any of this, believe me. I'll come here walking this.
That's good.
What was the date?
June 9th.
Thank you.
Yep,
It's 7:45.
Just a caveat here, when I was quickly reading this. Some of the things mentioned in here were brought up at the beginning of this whole scenario. So there's not a lot of new news in here. Okay, when we were on the former committee. Just read this and absorb this is gonna take me a couple hours. Okay, so do we have a motion that we're?
we have a motion in a second. I'm just allowing
some
discussion as we're,
I'm disgusted on.
everybody else discussed out.
I would just like to add one more thing. I had a couple constituents reach out to me. And they asked who would be here. I asked the planning and zoning department and they knew nothing. So it would have been nice for them to know, oh, the city's coming and the city's gonna have an attorney there. You know, so we're talking.
Look,
I don't know if we knew that until.
I want to stop you right there. We had no information as to the presence of the city or some whatever legal representation they're going to have here.
And I apologize.
No information about that until this morning.
And I did not.
This until last night. So
And Mr. Bougie, I did not mean to indicate that you knew that. What I'm saying, okay, so they said that.
I think you're directing it more at the city for not letting us know in advance that someone's gonna be here.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, I asked them and they are not responsible. I understand that. But the residents were wondering why the public forum? Why on the agenda?
Because the committee, again, I don't mean to stop you.
That's
I don't mean
fine.
to be disrespectful here.
You're not.
The committee requested that there be an agenda item on the planning meeting called public forum to allow anyone from the public. That was a couple of meetings back.
And that will be a standing order.
That
then.
will be a standing. No, it should have been on the April 14th. You know, Tom brought it up and reminded us that and
It's all good.
it's like, okay, we'll make sure that from here on in, it's
Okay.
on the agenda as a regular item. So if
Mhm.
anybody from the public, and it's up to discretion of the committee chair, you know, as far as how that's handled, but
Yeah, again, I did not mean to indicate just now
No,
that they said it, but then they show up. But the city did show up. And I understand they have the right to do that because it is a public forum.
Mhm.
But there's no residents here also. And at the same time, I think we can voice what we know. We know their feelings and thoughts, but
well, hopefully by tabling this for the next
Yes.
month, we will rectify that situation.
yeah,
And
thank
I'm
you.
guessing that we will probably have some residents here next month. On this item, so is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring this up. So the residents had no clue that they would need to be here. Because they assumed what was happening. So when you get this, somebody said 5:03 p.m. last night, whatever.
Yeah.
There would be no reason, because some of us haven't checked our emails.
Yeah.
And so here we are at 8 o'clock in the morning, there would be no reason for anybody to think that they needed to be here. So. That's all unfortunate, just unfortunate.
You don't think that could be a play?
In my opinion, it is a play. There.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I said it. It's a bad play. Okay,
So-
end of my discussion.
And I have a
Thank you.
question, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
You were talking, Mr. Rowe, about the various 50% and so on. These are all owners of those, aren't they all owners of those 6 parcels?
I didn't go into detail. It appeared that way. I haven't done a complete analysis.
Yeah, I mean-
of it.
So when we're looking at, I mean, when I look at these folks here. Rank,
Yes,
we know Bradley is. Dennis Radloff. Brittany Phillips,
I don't know, Brittany, if she is.
I don't think she is.
Could be.
William Benson is. Merrick Potratz,
Potratz is yes, because I remember delivering that letter to him.
So there's 5 there, and I don't know about Robert Laus. Or Laus. So if like you have 5 out of 6 that are represented for these. These are 5 of the 6 stakeholders, then what is our restrictions?
That's only a portion of the map. The floodplain map goes all the way to the city limits. So we need 50% of the owners along Sawyer Creek all the way to the city limits. That is the map.
Okay,
You can't just take a portion of the map and have 50%.
Just so,
This is just like
just
the
using a
zoning.
number for reference, say there are 30 landowners along Sawyer Creek all the way up to the city. This is only a handful.
okay, so then
So they would need half of all of the stakeholders that own land adjacent to Sawyer Creek. From where it starts in Winnebago County and where it enters the city.
Yeah, all this is part of the map. The
Mhm.
map is one large map.
And I'm not saying it's 30, it might be 15, but.
Well, the city surely isn't going to sign it. We know that.
Right.
So
And
you're
again,
saying
this-
this is an invalid petition?
Yeah, it doesn't qualify. And
doesn't
it just doesn't qualify for a
Doesn't have
3/4 vote.
Doesn't have enough.
Yeah. If and when it went to the county board floor, that instrument is strictly to require a 3/4 vote.
Okay.
so it could be voted in a different way.
Absolutely.
Okay,
The standard way, this requires 3/4 rather
okay,
than the majority.
all right.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
And again, that would only be if the matter ended up at the county board
Yeah.
and the county board was voting on it.
Okay,
I understand. Thank you.
all right.
That Robert Laus, he lives on 44, so he could very well be on there.
Okay,
All right, I think we've discussed this one out for this meeting. All those in favor of tabling it until next month with getting input from.
Till June 9th, yeah.
Yep, until June 9th and getting input from Corporation Council on the letter that we received last night. Signify by saying aye.
I'd like to say that we have Mary Ann come right into the meeting, so everybody hearing the same discussion.
Yes, we would
I
like
was
to.
just gonna
request to have-
ask, how are we gonna get this information? Because
and where is your attorney from? Can he come in person? Are you able to participate in person?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. I'm in Green Bay, so I can make the drive.
Okay, I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, try this again. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll see this again next month. Move on to item number 5, review and action to forward town zoning changes to county board.
I'll take that one, Mr. Chairman. Number 1. James Paulo Town zoning change tax ID number 02603080204. Part of that parcel. Town of Inland. The town zoning change for James Paulo is consistent with Winnebago County's future land use plan. The town of Inland approved the zoning change from A2. Agricultural, rural residential to R1. Rural residential, and Winnebago County's future land use plan shows future land use as residential. Recommendation is to approve a motion to forward zone changes to county board for action.
so moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes.
And the second one, pardon me, Steve and Trudy Resnick, town zoning change, tax ID numbers 026043501, town of Vinland. The town zoning change for Steve and Judy Resnick is consistent with Winnebago County's future land use plan. The town of Vinland approved the zoning change from R1 and A2 rural residential and agricultural to A2 agricultural and Winnebago County's future land use plan, which incorporates the city of Oshkosh future land use plan. Shows land use as agricultural and rural. Recommendation: approve the motion to forward zone changes to county board for action.
so move.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Second.
Is there anything else from
just a caveat here, and I'm not blaming anybody. But I guess what I'm gonna do from now on, whenever we have any minutes that we're gonna approve, and I don't have them. I'll either call or email. And I don't think we should have to go dig them off the website or anything. So if something's missing,
Sure.
I'm just gonna do what you did. I don't think we should.
Can
have
we-
to go search for it.
Can we request that we always have minutes with the packet or emailed or? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, that's obviously the intent, and you know, if you're missing a set of minutes. That weren't in the packet, I mean, you certainly have the discretion to just table any motion of that until you have the minutes, you could table it until the next meeting. Entirely up to you, but yeah, if there's time to time, there's minutes that aren't included in the packet for whatever reason. Yeah, you don't need to take action on those minutes if you so desire, and
I think we'd rather take action.
yeah. I mean, at some point you'll have to take action on the minutes, but you know, but if you don't have it in your packet, and yeah, it's definitely a concern.
mhm.
You're certainly
I would like to take the opportunity though to say kudos to our secretary for providing a very nice overview of the minutes for that.
And a copy of the minutes.
Yes.
I just am learning that I do have that ability or right, or and with that being said, I'll try to do a better job in the future. Yes.
I think we'll get that off. That's a minor. That's a minor thing.
But I think we all definitely appreciated what you did do. So just want to make sure that was said on the record. With that, is there anything else from staff? Anybody else have anything to discuss? Like accept the motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Meeting adjourned.
Can you email me a copy of this with the changes you made